Today's conversation draws into a real-world case study of healthcare localization. Joining me now is Mary Ogangwu, the Chief Operating Officer of CODIX Pharma, the parent company of CODIX Pharma, in local manufacturing of critical diagnostics like blood glucose monitors and soon HIV and malaria test kits. Beyond celebrating milestones, today's discussion will interrogate the business model, market challenges, policy landscape, and the future potential of Nigeria's healthcare manufacturing sector. Mary, it's great to have you on Business Insight on Plus TV Africa.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with the basics as it is now, with the fundamentals. Now, what are the measurable economic and health impact of Nigeria's dependence on imported medical diagnostics?
So thank you very much for that question. There are a lot of impacts. I think the first one you can really put your finger on is the impact on FX. Over the last 2 years, we've seen how the FX situation has affected our economy significantly. It will interest you to note that most of the drugs and 90% of medical devices have been imported into Nigeria up to date.
Wow.
And for these imports to occur, FX is required, which is foreign exchange. And so all of us go to the one market to bid for the same limited foreign exchange to buy goods and bring into the country. Apart from FX, you can also talk about human capacity development. Now, because most of these products are being imported, we are not able to grow our human capacity locally. Take, for example, in the medical device space, and based on the report you just shared, talking about standards. Some of these standards for medical device manufacturing have not been available in Nigeria. The skill set required to, have these, to execute these standards are not available in the country. And by extension, in the region, in the West African region. So, if you look at human capital development, if you look at the situation on FX with the economy, these are two major areas, but there are a lot of areas, that we can as well touch on. Okay,
let's talk about progress is made so far. I know Collector, where you work with, has made impressive progress. But let's look at operational perspective. What were your biggest infrastructural and regulatory hurdles in setting up local production?
Well, I think what will come very clearly to everyone's mind will be the power situation.
Wow.
So, of course, you need power to operate, and with the band A costs, with the erratic, nature of supply, it definitely affects the processes. But I think before we even talk about power, you have to look at the financial landscape. Financing such facilities and setting them up does not come cheap. And unfortunately, there hasn't been available funding for such developments in Nigeria. We've had various engagements with various DFIs, that is the development finance institutions, and a lot of them finance projects that are well beyond, the sort required for this sort of facility. And when you come locally and, speak to the commercial banks, you're talking about significantly higher interest rates. So, having to do this in the shortest possible time with your own financial resources is a huge challenge. And you cannot source funds from the commercial banks. If at all, they'll be at very high rates. For example, I think a couple of months ago, we were talking about interest rates up to 32%.
True.
It is not viable for long-term projects such as we have with what we've done with CODIX Biosensor.
All right, fine. Still talking about our landscape and the current regulatory framework. Are there enough incentives to drive domestic healthcare manufacturing, or local players still facing significant, hurdles and friction? What is it like in terms of regulation and all of that?
Well, in our space, regulation for local manufacturing of medical devices was new, both to us and to the major regulators like NAFDAC. But they've been building capacity in this area, and we're very glad to see that a special directorate has been set aside for vaccines, biologics, and medical devices called the VBM.
Right.
So NAFDAC is growing capacity in that area. But in terms of other regulatory concerns and maybe other opportunities we've been able to capture, you know about the executive order that was recently announced, and I think execution commenced in March. Unfortunately, during the setup of both our facilities, both CODIX Bio and Colexa, the executive order had not been in place. So, but there were other opportunities. I mean, we can give it to government that there are ways to go around this. So we have the IDEC waiver, which we were able to benefit from. It assisted us with the inputs, especially the machinery required. However, there are still lots of red tapes, and the process can be lengthy. But I think, all in all, in our experience, government has been very cooperative. The final thing I would like to touch on is with regards to quality. So in your last report from that CME meeting, they talked about ISO certification. For medical device manufacturing, the ISO 13485 is required to certify your facility. Unfortunately, we don't have any certification bodies in Nigeria or even on the continent. So a lot of the resources for ISO 13485 certification had to be sourced from outside of the continent. So I think this is an area of opportunity for those who play in the quality space to build capacity as more facilities come up. And even for us, we will need more support as we go along to ensure that the products that come out from these facilities are the best quality for our people.
Okay, let's talk about collaboration and maybe partnership. I know that you're doing something or have done something with universities on skills development. But how critical is the existing talent gap for scaling the medical sector, and what solutions are you investing in?
Okay, so I can't right now speak to the medical sector generally, but if we look at the medical device manufacturing sector, I think the partnership you mentioned is with the Onobisi Onabanjo University, where we are collaborating, Ogun State, where we are collaborating with the management of the school to train science students from 200 level and above in a course which has been titled Biosensors and Nanotechnology.
That's relatively new.
Yes, it is new. And of course, speaking to manpower and what is available in the country, we had to source resources. The facilitators of this course, we had to source them from outside of the continent. So sometimes they have virtual sessions. But we've had over 120 students who have gone through this course and have moved to the next level. And one of the other partnerships we have is with, including the Onobisi Onabanjo University, the University of Lagos, where we have their students come over to our facility for their CWES. Yes, for the CWES or internship. And it gives them the opportunity to see these things live, to see medical devices, how they are produced. These things have not been taught in school. And even if they were taught, it's a different way to see it practically. So these are some of the, collaborations that we've engaged in to build capacity. But there's a lot more work to be done. And I know that, we were approached some time ago by an Empower Pharma school. What they do is they work with governments to set up hubs where students can go and learn the practical nature of pharma manufacturing. So another discussion we've had, and we're hoping that can move forward quickly, that's the Empower School of Health, is to have conversations, similar conversations, but for medical devices, where we can have a hub, students can go in, have practical experiences on how biosensors are produced, how nitrocellulose sheets are produced, and how even the enzymes and the chemical substances required to conduct these tests are produced.
Yeah, that's really almost sounding Greek to me, but then that's a really specialized skill. So, but Collectors and HWO, World Health Organization certification for local HIV test kit is a significant first, you will agree with me, but what competitive edge does that give Nigeria in the broader African and global health sector?
Oh, I think it is significant. One of the major challenges that I would say have come up in the global community when they talk about localizing manufacture of these specialized products in Africa has been, first of all, the lack of skills. Secondly, the challenge with ensuring consistency where quality is concerned. Now, this is a notable feat because this is a product that is already WHO, World Health Organization, pre-qualified. It has gone through a lot of stringent evaluation and assessment, and it has passed. And Nigeria, through Colexa Biosensor, has been given the opportunity to carry out a process of getting this product to a finished stage, to conduct that process locally. Now, this change notification approval that Colexa Biosensor received is a testament to the quality of partnerships. So we've partnered with SD Biosensor Limited, is a Korea firm, over the past, I would say, 3 to 5 years. And they've proven they're innovative and they deliver quality products to the market. Now, the brand that we are packaging in Colexa is SD Biosensor products that has been WHO pre-qualified. So what this says for Nigeria is that quality can come out of Nigeria. It's also necessary to mention that this is the first on the continent for a WHO PQ product to be packaged or to have any of its processes conducted locally. So this is significant. And Nigeria can now be seen as a hub for quality products, not just to its people, but also to the region and to the continent. So our dream and our hope is that we continue in sustaining the quality standards, and that these products not only serve the Nigerian people, but serve the West African and African people at large.
Okay, let's talk about the value chain, specifically the supply chain that will support expansion. Because from what I understand from my research, you're doing something more for Nigerians in terms of HIV, malaria, and other disease diagnostics. So, do we have a supply chain in the country that can actually support this big vision, as it were?
Okay, thank you so much. You are referring to CODIX Bio Limited, which is a facility set up for the production of rapid diagnostic test kits. And in terms of priority, as you have already mentioned, the HIV, malaria kits and other kits will come in there as well. So in terms of value chain, these projects are relatively new in Nigeria. When you talk about supply, you're talking about the inputs, the raw materials, the packaging materials. So it will interest you to note that with Colexa, for example, we struggled with getting the best quality packaging materials for the product. And now we're talking about a HIV product that will go for WHO pre-qualification. So the quality of the packaging material, and I'm talking about paper here, is very important. So we've struggled with that, but we're still on the lookout to see if we can find potential partners who can deliver on this quality. But coming to other inputs, additive manufacturing and use requires a lot of consumables that are plastic in nature. For example, the lancets. Lancets are used to prick your skin, bring out the blood, and conduct the test on the device. Lancets are not being produced in Nigeria. And lancets are needed not only by CODIX Bio Colexa, but they're needed across the entire healthcare value chain, in hospitals, in pharmacies. And most of these lancets are being imported from China and other parts of the world. Talk about the blood collecting device. Something as simple as a plastic tube.
Just to get the blood,
very small. Talk about the cassettes required for the RDT itself. The RDT in itself is a paper nitrocellulose sheet, but you require cassettes to house that sheet so that you can conduct the test effectively. Now, these are all plastic, products, but they are of a certain quality and standard, which is not available in Nigeria or so far on the West African region.
Okay, so in all of this now, I'm thinking about, since some of these things are novel, they are new, and they are costs, costly as it were. Let's talk about maybe affordability, given the high cost in doing business. You talked about power, you talked about other challenges, and now you guys are, thinking of, broadening the perspective and get so Nigerians can, and indeed African can get, quality. In terms of affordability, is it something Nigerians will be able to afford over time?
Okay. So, well, Nigerians are able to afford the...
I hope it's not elitists.
It's not elitist.
Okay.
Most of the imported brands that come into the country are being used across public, private,
yes,
primary health care up to tertiary.
Tertiary too.
So
yes.
It is not elitist.
Okay.
The imported brands are currently available to everyone.
Okay.
However, depending on the test parameter or the disease parameter, of course the prices will vary.
Okay.
But it's necessary to mention that we have to keep in mind, the benefits to the country. Access is not just about affordability.
Okay.
It's about, is it even available in the market? It could be available today, but not available tomorrow. And there are patients who depend on these solutions. So access is more important than affordability at this point. But when we even talk about affordability, it is subjective, okay? You have to look, what are you comparing with?
Okay.
Because affordability is not just one straight line. You have to be clear what you are comparing with.
Right.
So if you are comparing with the imported brands, for example.
Listen to them side by side.
Exactly. Yes. So our hope is to ensure that it gives our people a better advantage.
Okay.
Quality-wise, affordability-wise, and most importantly, access-wise.
Okay. Finally, your last word in all of this in terms of the healthcare sector, the future for your line of business and of course for Nigerians and indeed Africa.
Well, I think that Africa is on a pathway that will benefit its people. There's a lot of talk now with the pullout of the USAID and Donald Trump's President of America's announcement. I think it's a unique opportunity for us to reinforce our capabilities and ensure sustainability for the longer term. So we are on the right path. CODIX Pharma, with its subsidiaries, CODIX and CODIX Bio, are doing what we can. But there is a lot more opportunity for others to come in.
All right. Now, today's discussion underscores that local production in healthcare is not merely a technical achievement, it's a strategic economic move. For Nigeria, resilience will depend on more than just factories. It requires coherent policy, talent development, infrastructure investment, and competitive market access and strategies. Many thanks to you and Mary Ogangwu for your time on the show.
Thank you so much, Justin.
All right. That's the size of the show for today. For our audience, the future of Nigeria's healthcare industry is being shaped now, and the opportunities are substantial for those who recognize the value of building from within. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for watching Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. Until next time, stay business smart. Bye for now.